Dodger Stadium sits in Elysian Park, just north of downtown Los Angeles, at 1000 Vince Scully Avenue. It opened on April 10, 1962, and it has been the home of the Los Angeles Dodgers ever since. With a listed capacity of 56,000, it remains the largest ballpark in Major League Baseball by seating capacity, and, as of 2026, the third oldest active MLB stadium, behind Fenway Park and Wrigley Field. The stadium's official listed dimensions are 330 feet down both foul lines, 385 feet to left center and right center, and 395 feet to center field. The stadium is often described as a baseball landmark, but its story is much more specific than that. It was built at the exact moment when Major League Baseball was spreading west, Los Angeles was expanding around the automobile, and stadium design was about to change completely. Dodger Stadium arrived just before the era of cookie-cutter, multi-purpose stadiums. Instead of being designed for baseball and football together, it was built for baseball first, and that is a major reason it still works more than 6 decades later. The Dodgers came to Los Angeles in 1958 after leaving Brooklyn. Before Dodger Stadium was ready, they played 4 seasons at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. The Coliseum was massive, historic, and completely awkward for baseball. In 1958, the left field line was only 250 feet from home plate, so the Dodgers had to use a 40-foot screen in left field. On the other side, right center and right field stretched far out into the football bowl. It was temporary from the start, but it gave Los Angeles Major League Baseball, while Walter O'Malley pushed forward with a permanent stadium plan. The permanent site was Chavez Ravine, and that part of the story cannot be separated from the ballpark. Before Dodger Stadium, the area included the Mexican-American communities of Palo Verde, La Loma, and Bishop. These neighborhoods had homes, a church, a grocery store, and an elementary school. In the 1950s, city officials used eminent domain as part of a redevelopment effort, first tied to a proposed public housing project and later to the stadium land deal. Families were displaced, and some of the last residents were forcibly removed in 1959. That history gives Dodger Stadium 2 realities at once. Architecturally, it is one of the most successful ballparks ever built. Culturally, it stands on land that had already been through a painful and controversial clearance process before the Dodgers played a single inning there. The stadium did not create the entire Chavez Ravine dispute by itself, but it became the lasting structure on the site. That is why the name Chavez Ravine still carries meaning beyond baseball. Construction on Dodger Stadium began on September 17, 1959. The project was enormous. Roughly 300 acres of land were graded, leveled, and reshaped to form the stadium bowl and surrounding parking areas. The ballpark was engineered by Captain Emil Prager of Prager, Kavanaugh, and Waterbury, and built by Vanell Constructors of Alhambra, California. Jack Yount served as a major on-site construction figure for Vanell. The cost is usually listed at about $23 million, and the stadium itself was privately financed by Walter O'Malley. That matters because so many later stadiums relied heavily on public funding, while Dodger Stadium was built in a different model, a private ballpark on land made available through a public land agreement. O'Malley wanted control over the team's home. He had already spent years trying to replace Ebbets Field in Brooklyn, where the Dodgers had limited parking, limited room to expand, and a ballpark that no longer matched the direction of post-war sports business. The design of Dodger Stadium was shaped by the hill. Instead of building a tall stadium on flat land, the project used the terrain to its advantage. The seating levels are carved into the site, and the parking lots are terraced around the building. Fans can park near the level of their seats, which reduces the need for long internal ramps. That was one of the building's smartest ideas. It made a 56,000-seat stadium feel more controlled than many smaller venues. The parking plan also shows how much Dodger Stadium belongs to the freeway age. The stadium was built for car access, near major routes and close to downtown, but not embedded into a traditional street grid the way older ballparks were. It has around 16,000 parking spaces spread across 21 terraced lots. That setup made sense in early 1960s Los Angeles, but it also created one of the stadium's most famous problems. Getting in and out can be slow, crowded, and frustrating. Inside the stadium, the design is clean, symmetrical, and direct. There is no warehouse in the outfield, no giant wall, no strange urban corner forcing the field into an odd shape. The main view is the landscape itself. downtown Los Angeles in one direction, Elysian Park around the stadium, and the San Gabriel Mountains beyond. That backdrop became part of the building's identity. The ballpark does not overwhelm the game with extra architecture. It frames the game and the city around it. Dodger Stadium is also one of the strongest examples of mid-century modern sports architecture in the United States. The Los Angeles Conservancy identifies it as mid-century modern and notes its pastel color palette, folded metal roof over the outfield pavilions, inverted canopies, landscape terraces, and modernist details. The stadium was not just a big concrete bowl. It was designed to feel like a Southern California destination. That destination idea came directly from O'Malley. During planning, he looked at baseball stadiums, but he also looked at places like Disneyland as examples of customer experience. He wanted clean restrooms, good service, landscaping, clear circulation, and a ballpark that felt comfortable for families. Dodger Stadium opened with 48 restrooms, which was a major practical detail in an era when many older venues still had serious comfort issues. The seating bowl was also advanced for its time. The stadium had 6 different seating levels and a color system that made the levels visually distinct. The original pastel seat colors were not random. They fit the early 1960s Los Angeles design language and helped soften the scale of the concrete structure. Later renovations would bring back much of that mid-century feel, after years of changes had moved the stadium away from its original look. On opening day, April 10, 1962, the Dodgers played the Cincinnati Reds. The first official game did not end the way Los Angeles wanted. The Reds beat the Dodgers 6-3. Johnny Podres, who had been the hero of Brooklyn's 1955 World Series championship, threw the first pitch for the Dodgers at the new stadium. The building was not completely polished yet. Work crews were still finishing details close to opening, but the new ballpark was finally in use after 4 seasons at the Coliseum. The Dodgers' first season at Dodger Stadium was immediately successful at the gate. In 1962, the team set a Major League Baseball attendance record with 2,755,184 fans. The Dodgers had already proven that Los Angeles could support Major League Baseball at the Coliseum, but Dodger Stadium gave the franchise its permanent Southern California identity. The team did not wait long to create postseason history there. In 1963, the Dodgers swept the New York Yankees in the World Series. Sandy Koufax was dominant, and Dodger Stadium became the setting for one of the franchise's defining Los Angeles championships. The Dodgers won another World Series in 1965, again with Koufax at the center of the team's identity. By the mid-1960s, the stadium was no longer just the new home of a relocated club. It had already become part of the Dodgers' championship era. Dodger Stadium also developed a reputation as a pitcher-friendly ballpark. The night air, marine layer, symmetrical layout, and deep enough power alleys helped shape how the park played. It was never a gimmick stadium. It did not need an exaggerated wall or a bizarre outfield corner to define it. Its personality came from conditions, sightlines, and consistency. Pitchers such as Sandy Koufax, Don Drysdale, Don Sutton, Fernando Valenzuela, Orel Hershiser, Clayton Kershaw, and others all became part of the stadium's long baseball identity. The ballpark's most famous pitching moment came on September 9, 1965, when Sandy Koufax threw a perfect game against the Chicago Cubs. It remains one of the most important games ever played at Dodger Stadium. The stadium also hosted Dennis Martinez's perfect game for the Montreal Expos against the Dodgers in 1991. Those games strengthened the idea of Dodger Stadium as a place where pitching could take over a night completely. The stadium was also home to Fernando Valenzuela's rise in 1981. Fernando Mania turned Dodger Stadium into one of the loudest and most important cultural stages in baseball. Valenzuela was a Mexican-born left-handed pitcher, and his success connected deeply with Los Angeles, especially the city's Mexican and Mexican-American communities. In a stadium built on a site with such painful Mexican-American history, Valenzuela's presence carried meaning far beyond wins and losses. In 1981, the Dodgers won the World Series over the New York Yankees. In 1988, Dodger Stadium hosted one of the most famous home runs in baseball history. Kirk Gibson, injured and barely able to run, came off the bench in Game 1 of the World Series against the Oakland Athletics. He hit a walk-off home run off Dennis Eckersley, pumping his fist as he rounded the bases. That one swing became one of the defining images of the stadium and of the Dodgers' Los Angeles era. Dodger Stadium has hosted the World Series multiple times, including 1963, 1965, 1966, 1974, 1977, 1978, 1981, 1988, 2017, 2018, 2024, and 2025. The 2020 Dodgers won the World Series, but that postseason was played at neutral site Globe Life Field in Texas because of the pandemic. The stadium returned to the center of the baseball world in 2024, when the Dodgers and Yankees met again, and in 2025, when Los Angeles played the Toronto Blue Jays. The stadium has also hosted the MLB All-Star Game twice, in 1980 and 2022. The 2022 game was especially important because Dodger Stadium had originally been scheduled to host in 2020 before the pandemic changed the league calendar. By the time the All-Star Game returned there, the ballpark had been through major upgrades while still keeping its familiar shape. Outside Major League Baseball, Dodger Stadium has had a surprisingly wide event history. It hosted baseball during the 1984 Summer Olympics as a demonstration sport, with Japan defeating the United States in the championship game. The Olympic connection will continue in 2028, because Dodger Stadium has been named the official baseball venue for the Los Angeles 2028 Summer Olympics. USA Baseball notes that the stadium also averaged about 48,000 fans per game during the 1984 Olympic baseball tournament. The stadium has also hosted the World Baseball Classic. In 2009, Dodger Stadium hosted the semifinals and final, with Japan winning the tournament. In 2017, it hosted the final rounds again, and Team USA won its first World Baseball Classic title there. These events helped give the stadium a larger international baseball profile, especially in a city with deep ties to Latin American and Asian baseball communities. Dodger Stadium has even been used for sports that do not naturally fit the building. On January 25, 2014, the Los Angeles Kings and Anaheim Ducks played an NHL Stadium Series outdoor game there. The Ducks won 3-0 in front of 54,099 fans. The visual was strange in the best possible way. Hockey at a baseball stadium in Los Angeles, with palm trees, the city, and a temporary rink inside one of baseball's oldest active venues. The building's survival has depended on renovation rather than replacement. That is important because many stadiums built after Dodger Stadium have already been demolished. The Los Angeles Conservancy points out that since Dodger Stadium was completed in 1962, at least a dozen major league ballparks have been built and torn down. Dodger Stadium stayed because its bones were strong. Good sight lines, a clean baseball layout, strong location, large capacity, and an architectural identity worth preserving. Major changes came after Guggenheim Baseball Management purchased the Dodgers in 2012. From 2012 to 2013, the stadium underwent an estimated $100 million renovation. The work modernized the building while preserving key character-defining features. It included new seating, improved accessibility, widened concourses and aisles, new scoreboards, an improved sound system, children's areas, new concessions, and upgraded clubhouse spaces. The 2013 rehabilitation also restored the original hexagonal shape of the outfield scoreboards. Those renovations mattered because they did not try to turn Dodger Stadium into a different building. The goal was to make it function like a modern stadium without erasing the design that made it valuable in the first place. That is a difficult balance. Many older venues lose their identity when they are renovated too aggressively. Dodger Stadium's upgrades worked because the main seating bowl, landscape relationship, colors, and scoreboard shapes remained part of the experience. Another major project was announced in 2019, centered on the outfield and a new center field plaza. The plan included food and beverage areas, a children's play area, space for live entertainment, a new outfield entrance, and the relocation of the Jackie Robinson statue to a more prominent center field location. The project also connected the outfield pavilions and improved movement around parts of the stadium that had previously felt separated. The left and right field pavilions also received major attention. The upgrades included new restrooms, enclosed bars with bullpen views, standing room areas, improved ADA seating, and home run seats just beyond the outfield wall. These changes helped turn the outfield from a more isolated seating area into a fuller part of the ballpark experience. In 2026, Dodger Stadium entered a new naming rights era, but not exactly in the way many modern stadiums do. The field received a sponsor name, Uniqlo Field, while the stadium itself remained Dodger Stadium. The Associated Press reported that it was the first field naming rights sponsorship in the history of MLB's third oldest ballpark. That distinction matters because the name Dodger Stadium has been protected in a way many venue names have not. The stadium's biggest weakness is still access. The terraced parking system is part of the design, but it also reinforces the building's dependence on cars. The Dodger Stadium Express has helped by providing transit service from Union Station and other points, but the game day traffic reputation is not going away. The same hilltop setting that gives the stadium its views also limits how naturally it connects to the surrounding city. Still, the setting is one of the main reasons the stadium has lasted. A downtown ballpark can be exciting, but Dodger Stadium is different. It is close to downtown without being swallowed by it. It feels elevated, almost set apart, with the city visible but not pressed against the outfield wall. That separation is why the stadium can feel old and modern at the same time. It belongs to the early 1960s, but it does not feel trapped there. Dodger Stadium's importance comes from the fact that it has kept its original identity while the sport around it changed. Baseball moved through artificial turf, domes, multi-purpose stadiums, retro classic parks, retractable roofs, mixed-use districts, and billion-dollar entertainment developments. Dodger Stadium stayed mostly itself. It added clubs, plazas, premium areas, better scoreboards, wider concourses, and modern fan amenities, but the main image is still the same: a clean baseball bowl in the Los Angeles hills. That is why the stadium continues to work for regular season games, playoff nights, international tournaments, and future Olympic baseball. It has enough scale for major events, enough history for baseball fans, and enough architectural discipline that it does not need to constantly reinvent itself. Most stadiums from its era either disappeared or were heavily compromised. Dodger Stadium kept the parts that mattered. On most nights, it still comes down to the same view: the blue seats, the low outfield pavilions, the hills beyond the walls, the city below, and a baseball field that has been sitting in the same carved-out Los Angeles Bowl since 1962.